put the seed in and cover it up. Good night, Mr. Seed. It's just like other bulbs you plant. It's going to overwinter. It's not going to come up with much until spring, and then you get these long garlic scapes with the flowers that you can harvest the scape and make food with that, and then you get to harvest. Scapes. Yeah, they're really strong. I didn't realize it. I made like garlic scape pesto with a group of kindergartners, and they were just like, "Don't get near me."
Scape, is that just the green?
Yeah,
okay.
It's the long stalk that it puts up, and it puts up like a bud.
Okay.
You know, and inside that bud is the flower. And so you can harvest that and then just chop it up and stir fry it or pesto it, whatever.
Can you eat the garlic flower?
I do. I take the garlic flower buds and I throw them in salads because it's just like chive flowers or anything else. So, but that's not going to happen to spring, but you got to do the work now. So what you do is generally once it gets a little bit colder, you plant garlic. I think today might be a little bit early, but I'll show you kind of how to do it so that you get an idea of how to go from there. If you order garlic or if you purchase garlic from a store, it's probably going to come like this, and you don't want to take it apart until you're ready to plant it. So I'm just going to take one of these off. And when you do take it apart, you want to make sure it's covered with its little jacket. That's what I tell the kids. You don't want to take off the jacket. And you can see there's a pointy part and then there's a flat part, and that's where the roots are. So the roots obviously go down, the pointy part goes up.
So we could just get a garlic that we bought and start it that way?
You want to make sure it's kind of complicated. Yeah, like you can try that, but a lot of times if they're not organic, or even if they are organic, sometimes they'll put like a spray on them that inhibits sprouting. Wow. Because it doesn't do the farmer any good if he's selling you sprouted garlic, because that's supposedly not it means it's too old. So usually non-organic garlic is definitely sprayed with that stuff. So the stuff you get at Giant is most likely not going to grow a sprout. You can try with an organic garlic bulb. You can ask at the farmer's market too, have you put a sprout inhibitor on this, and is it plantable? And when you do that, or if you purchase bulbs like this, you want to pick the biggest, best looking bulbs, because you, in this case, are playing God, and you are saying, I want the biggest and the strongest will survive. So if you're picking the big ones, by next end of May, June, it will grow an entire clove like this, bud.
Bud.
Yeah, bulb. Sorry. Working on my vocabulary. So, when you plant these in the soil, you're going to put them about 2 inches below the surface. Sometimes because of the fluctuating weather in DC, you might see them sprout now. Don't worry about it, just leave them alone. It'll die back, and then you'll start to see your sprouts again in the spring coming up, most likely.
And what month are you saying?
These, usually you plant garlic end of October, beginning of November. So now's the time to check it out. And there's some really great different varieties you can get. I love to plant elephant garlic because it's huge and it looks really cool when you harvest it because it's gigantic and puts out these gigantic flowers. I also like some of the Spanish Rioja, which is like a reddish garlic. It's also very pretty.
When do they harvest?
Sorry?
What month do they harvest?
Usually, that you harvest end of May, beginning of June. You'll know to harvest because the stalks and the plant will start to sort of fizzle out, and it's going to look sad. And that's usually...
So the bulbs multiply?
Yeah, underground. So this will, the energy that it gets from the sprout and the flower is going to feed the bulb underground and start to make it turn into one of these big ones. So one of these becomes one of these. So that's kind of satisfying too, because then if you get a good crop, and you can take the ones that you harvested and plant them for the next year, so you don't have to ever buy garlic again. Although I still buy it all the time because I use way too much. So that's something to do with garlic.
Do you have to let it dry out then? Or
Sorry?
Do you let it dry out?
I do. Oh, that's right. Thanks for asking that. So once you do harvest it, you can eat it right then, but the flavor is not going to be as strong as if you cure it a little bit. And curing it means putting it in a cool, dry place where cats can't eat it and letting it dry for about 2 weeks and keeping them separate from each other. Because if you smush them all together close, they're going to get moldy, and then garlic mold's pretty quickly because you can imagine like the humidity of all these little wet little things hanging out together in a little packet. So you want to keep them separate, let them cure for about 10 days to 2 weeks, and then they're ready to use. And you want to leave the stalks on when you do that because the energy from the stalk is still being pulled into the bulb at that point. So you don't, yeah, the flavor, everything. If you just cut them off at the base and like leave them on your fridge, they're not going to taste as strong and as delicious.
So they're scapes when they're just coming out, but when the scape turns into a stalk.
Yeah. What I do with the scape is I don't cut it all the way down to the base. I'll cut off just like, I wish I had a drawing. It grows a stem and then it looks like a bulb. It looks like a teardrop shape.
Yeah.
And that's really the scape right there and it's going to curl over in a weird way. And that is the scape that you would harvest. You're not going to cut the whole stem down to harvest because it's actually very tough and you don't want to eat that because it'll get stuck in your teeth. And it's not very pleasant on the way out. So you want to make sure that you're just taking the top part of it.
You want to try with your pinky?
You want to try? Okay, I'll do it again. You make the little hole, then you put the seed in, and you cover it up. Good night, Mr. Seed.